Hello everyone, welcome you all again to another session of Teaching ICSE Biology for Standard 10. In this session, we will discuss chapter 14 of your course book, that is Human Evolution. There is an enormous number and types of living organisms, both plants and animals, on this earth. In addition to this wide variety of living organisms, the remains of the dead organisms which lived in the remote past, called fossils, are also known. An important question now arises: how and from where has such a great variety of living organisms come to exist on this earth? Also, how the human beings have evolved on this earth. All these things are studied in the branch of biology called evolution. The word evolution has been derived from the Latin word evolvere, which means to unroll or unfold. Evolution is a kind of gradual unfolding or formation of the new organisms from the pre-existing primitive organisms through slow and steady changes. So what is evolution? We can define evolution as: evolution is a slow and continuous process where by complex forms of lives have emerged from simpler forms through millions of years. It is through the constant process of evolution taking place in the organisms since the origin of life that such an enormous variety of plants and animals have come to exist on this earth at present. All the plants and animals, or we can say organisms, which we see today around us have evolved from some or the other ancestors that lived on this earth long, long ago. There are some ancient beliefs about evolution. For many years, the common belief was that the earth and all that is present on it were spontaneously created by God. The implication of this belief was that all the species present on the earth has been there from the beginning and were unchanging. However, according to the autogenesis theory of origin of life, life is said to have originated from non-living organic matter. Several scientific theories have been put forward to explain the organic evolution. The most prominent ones among them are the theory of inheritance of acquired characters and the theory of natural selection. It has been agreed that the origin of life was a gradual process, a result of a series of physical and chemical changes in accordance with the ever-changing environmental conditions. And also there is sufficient evidence to prove that complex higher organisms have evolved from simple lower forms. So a number of theories with regard to the origin of life have been put forward. Out of them, two theories of evolution are discussed in this chapter. They are Lamarck's theory of inheritance of acquired characters and Darwin's theory of natural selection. First, we'll discuss about Lamarck's theory of evolution. Lamarck's theory of evolution was proposed by a French biologist named Jean-Baptiste de Monet Lamarck in the year 1784 to 1829. This theory was based on the principle that all the physical changes occurring in an individual during its lifetime are inherited by its offspring. That is, the development of an organ takes place when used many times. An organ may reduce or vanish if it is not in use. The basis of Lamarck's theory is pattern of fossils, organism in relation to their environment, and comparison of living species with fossil forms. Propositions of Lamarck theory, or we can say statements of Lamarck's theory. Lamarck's theory contains four main propositions or statements. They are change through use and disuse. The organs which are used frequently by the organism develop, and the characteristics that are used seldom are lost in succeeding generations. Second statement is organisms driven to greater complexity. As the organisms adapted to their surrounding, they become increasingly complex from their simpler forms. Third proposition is inheritance of acquired characters. An individual acquires certain characteristics during its lifetime. These characters are inherited by their offspring as well. And the last one is effects of environment and new needs. The environment influences all the organisms. A slight change in the environment brings about changes in the organism. This gives rise to new needs, which in turn produces new structures and changes in the habit of organism. Changes the habit of organism. A very common example of Lamarck's theory is evolution of a giraffe. It states that the parts of body that are used extensively become larger and stronger, while those are not used deteriorate. He explained this by taking the example of a giraffe. Lamarck suggested that the giraffe evolved from ground-feeding herbivores, but at a later stage, the area fell short of its ground-level vegetation, and thus the giraffe took to feeding from trees. Constant stretching of its neck and forelimbs over many generations resulted in these structures becoming longer and stronger so as to reach higher foliage. It also stated that an organism could pass its modifications to its offspring. Lamarck postulated that the long and muscular neck and forelimb of the living giraffe were passed on to them by their ancestors, and the same character will continue to appear generation after generation. Out of the four principles of Lamarck, use and disuse, and inheritance of acquired characters are widely accepted. Use and disuse refers to environment requires excessive use of an organ and the organ becomes bigger because of consistent use. And for example, the neck of giraffe became longer, which was shorter in the ancestors. An environment doesn't require use of an organ or organs that shrinks and disappears. That means which organs are not in use, they gradually reduce and vanish. For example, penguins' wings. Earlier, wings were present, but in the modern form, wings are absent. Present, but in a shriveled form, in a reduced form and not functioning. Inheritance of acquired characters states can be demonstrated uh, by the example of the neck of giraffe. Originally, the giraffe was short-necked, but to reach the leaves in higher branches of trees, it kept stretching its neck and continues stretching until neck becomes progressively bigger. And the long neck descendants after many generations continue to have the long neck, and today also we can see the giraffe's neck is quite long. Vestigial organs are organs or tissues in a body of an organism which are no more functional the way they were in the ancestral form. They have ceased to be of any use in possessor but still persist generation after generation in a reduced form. These are examples of organs which are not in use or disuse of organs. There are many vestigial organs found in humans. Some of them are wisdom teeth, vermiform appendix and ear pinna. These vestigial organs, presence of these vestigial organs is the authentication of evolution and hence were helpful in explaining adaptation of organism to the environment. Such a structure can arise due to gene mutation which causes a change in the sequence of nucleotides in the DNA, and these changes result in the formation of vestigial structures. Wisdom teeth is one vestigial organ which is present in humans. These teeth are the third set of molars or last molars on each side of the jaw. They are called so because they appeared at an age of 17 to 20 years. They are smaller and less complex than other molars. They may have been significant in the past for chewing rough and raw food, but in modern times, as they are inaccessible and remote in their position, they cause pain and infection. Another vestigial organ found in humans is vermiform appendix. Vermiform appendix is one of the most commonly known vestigial organs. It projects from the blind end of succum. Succum is a part of large intestine and it projects as a worm-like tube. In prime ancestors, the appendix is known to bring about digestion of cellulose. Today, scientists predict that the appendix may play a vital role in digestion by bacteria. It is considered as a functionless organ in humans, but its corresponding organ in herbivorous mammals like sheep is quite helpful in digestion of cellulose. Ear pinna is another vestigial organ in humans. Ear pinna is the projecting lobe-like part of the external ear, which simply provides a passage from auditory canal leading to the eardrum. We cannot move the pinna to gather the sound waves, which is its main function in other mammals. Complete but poorly developed and functionless muscles are present in human beings in connection with ear pinna. These vestigial organs are examples of body parts in disuse, which are gradually reduced generation after generation and remain as remnants, which is seen today in the organisms. These were quite longer or larger in size in the ancestors. The other theory of evolution is Darwin's theory of evolution. Charles Robert Darwin gave the theory of evolution in his famous book, The Origin of Species, in 1859. The theory proposed by him is known as the theory of natural selection because it suggests that the best adapted organisms are selected by nature to pass on their characteristics to the next generation. The basis of Darwin's theory is relationship between living and extinct animals, effect of environmental factors like climate, temperature, availability of resources, etc. Observable facts like adaptation to the changing environment, variation between the organisms of same species or between different species, overproduction, competition, speciation, etc. The four key points of Darwin's theory are overproduction, then struggle for existence, variation, and survival of the fittest. Overproduction of offspring. Overproduction of offspring leads to competition for survival. Individuals with beneficial adaptations are more likely to survive to pass on their genes. Here you can see two colors of caterpillars. One is green, one is brown. And brown color is similar to the trunk of the tree. So it is an advantage for them to hide themselves from their predators. There is genetic variation within a population which can be inherited. There are two colors of butterflies you can see here. One is yellow, one is brown, and that is genetic variation. Over many generations, there is a change in the allele frequency. That is, brown color is more thin than yellow color. That means there is more production of brown color butterflies than yellow color butterflies, which is considered as a process of resulting as a process of evolution. First point is overproduction. All living organisms have a tendency to produce their own progeny to continue their race, and more individuals are produced to increase the chances of survival, which leads to overpopulation. Due to overpopulation, the resources like food, like space, fall short, then struggle for existence starts. Struggle for existence refers to the competition between living beings to survive. In this struggle, there is intense competition between organisms for favorable shelter, climate, food supply, and breeding places. This competition may be between the members of the same species, which is called intraspecific, or between different species, which is called interspecific. Variation is the difference between individual organisms of same species or groups of organisms of different species. This variation is caused either by genetic difference or effect of environmental factors. Variation may be harmful or beneficial. Harmful variations will make its possessor unfit in the struggle for existence and may lead to extinction. This you can observe in the picture given. A population of mice has moved into a new area where the rocks are very dark. Due to natural genetic variation, some mice are black, while others are tan color. Tan mice are more visible to predatory birds which eat them than the black mice. Thus, tan mice are eaten at higher frequency, more in number than the black mice. Only the surviving mice reach the reproductive age and live offspring, and that is black mice. Because black mice had a higher chance of living offspring than tan mice, the next generations contain a higher fraction of black mice than the previous generation. Here the tan color of the mice is a harmful variation which led to the extinction of tan color mice. Survival of the fittest. It refers to the continued existence of organisms which are best adapted to their environment with the extinction of others. Nature selects only those variations which are suitable, and Darwin termed it as natural selection. Natural selection can be defined as the process of evolution of a species whereby characteristics which help individual organisms to survive and reproduce are passed on to their offspring. and those characteristics that which do not help are not passed on. We can understand Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection by taking an example. No two animals are ever exactly alike. So some changes always appear when animals produce their progeny by sexual reproduction. For example, one of the progeny may be tall, having long legs than the other progeny, as you can see in the picture. Some are tall and some are short in height. Thus, there may be a variation of height in the progeny. Now, the advantage of long legs to the progeny is that when no food is available on the ground, then this progeny having long legs can reach the leaves on tall trees, eat them as food and survive. On the other hand, the progeny which have short height due to short legs cannot reach the leaves on tall trees. So it will not get any food and it will starve and hence die. Thus, nature has selected the animal with long legs to survive because it is the fittest animal under these circumstances. Now, since long legs help in survival, the long-legged animals will live long enough to produce their offspring. The offspring will inherit long legs. So all the future generations will have long-legged animals. In this way, the animals having short legs have evolved into animals having long legs due to variation. This is an example of evolution according to Darwin's theory. This is a summary of Darwin's theory, the theory of evolution by natural selection, which has four key points, that is overproduction. Every species tends to produce more individuals than that can survive to maturity, and variation refers to the individuals of a population have many characteristics that differ, maybe color, as you can see here, some are dark in color, some are light in color, some are having horns, some are not having horns. Then selection, some individuals survive longer and reproduce more than others do. Then adaptation, the traits of those animals that survive and reproduce will become more common in a population and that trait would be visible in the future generations. The most important aspects of Darwin's theory of evolution is speciation. A species is a population of organisms consisting of similar individuals which can breed together and produce fertile offspring. Species can be of plants or of animals. Wheat, paddy, sunflower, human, tiger, dog, etc. are all examples of various types of species. The human beings who look so different from each other in terms of size, color and looks are said to belong to the same species, that is Homo sapiens, because they can interbreed to produce fertile offspring. The process by which new species develop from the existing species is known as speciation. In simple words, The formation of new species is called speciation. The important factors that could lead to the rise of new species are geographical isolation of a population caused by various types of barriers such as mountain ranges, river and sea. The geographical isolation leads to reproductive isolation, due to which there is no flow of genes between separated groups of population. Second factor is genetic drift caused by drastic changes, big changes, considerable changes in the frequencies of particular genes by chance factor alone. There is change in genetic structure, genetic mutation also it can be called. Variations caused in individuals due to natural selection is the third factor responsible for formation of or development of new species. As you can see in the picture, from a common ancestor, four types of animals are evolved. That is cat, cheetah, lion and black panther. This is an example of speciation or evolution of new species. Industrial melanism is a good example of natural selection and speciation. Industrial melanism refers to the evolution of dark body colors in animal species that live in habitats blackened by industrial soot. Soot means carbon particles. The phenomenon has been documented in several species that hide from predators by blending in with their black backgrounds. For example, tapered musk, or the scientific name is Bistum bitularia. This musk with its light colored wings dotted with spots blended well with the lichens growing on the houses and tree trunks on which it rested. But there was also another variety which had darker wings. This dark variety was rare in 1850 in Manchester area because it was eaten up by birds, being easily visible to them due to its black wings. The light colored moth was seen in large number as it was well concealed while resting on houses and tree trunks. This situation was observed in this area before Industrial Revolution. But after Industrial Revolution in Manchester, the entire situation changed. The pollution in this area caused the death of lichens and darkening of the tree trunks with soot, which you can see in the first picture. Now the dark variety was better hidden in this area and was not easily picked by birds. A natural selection acted through the agency of the birds, and the light colored moth easily became the prey eaten by the birds. So the dark variety of moth now survived better, left more offspring and almost nearly replaced the light form. This phenomenon has been called industrial melanism. Let us now discuss a differential account of Lamarck's theory and Darwin's theory. Lamarck's theory is also known as the theory of inheritance of acquired characters, but Darwin's theory is known as the theory of natural selection. Lamarck's theory believes in the use and disuse of an organ. Parts used or changes acquired get transmitted to the next generation, but Darwin's theory believes that since variations exist in individuals, only the fittest survive in the struggle of existence. According to Lamarck's theory, new species evolve after a long period, after many generations, by acquiring new characteristics. According to Darwin's theory, new species evolve due to accumulation of favorable variations over a long period of time. Here you can see picture of giraffe having long neck. According to Lamarck's view, originally the ancestors of giraffe were having short neck. Short-necked ancestors were there. They kept stretching their neck to reach the leaves higher up on the tree and continue stretching until the neck becomes progressively longer. And the long-necked descendants after many generations. So according to Lamarck, the neck of giraffe or the ancestor of giraffe was short, but because of repeated use and stretching of neck, it becomes longer. But according to Darwin, original group of giraffe, ancestors of giraffe, were exhibiting variation in their neck length. That means some giraffes were having long neck and some giraffes were having short neck, or some were tall in height, some were short in height. And the natural selection favored the longer necks. This favored characteristics is passed on to next generations in greater proportion than the shorter neck. And after many generations, group is still variable but showing a general increase in the neck length. The shorter ones could not survive and they starved and died, but longer necked giraffes could survive, and the nature had selected the longer necks of the giraffes to survive. Darwin was, however, unable to explain the sources of variation, but modern genetics has revealed the sources of variation, and Darwin's original theory of natural selection is now modified, and the new theory is termed as New Darwinism. But Darwin is still regarded as the father of evolution. In the next session, we will discuss in detail about the evolution of man from ancestors, from apes, early man to modern man. Thank you.